Alright, hey guys, it's Nightwing here, coming at you guys with another League of Legends video here today. You Riven mains and Yasuo mains alike, I thought I'd kind of switch it up for you guys just for tonight. I'm going back to my usual regular intro part of the video, but we have some interesting news here for League of Legends. And just before I actually start the video, I just want to say that the LCS, LEC, and LCK day predictions will be returning. It's just been really busy for me personally. It's just a lot of work right now, and get home pretty early and then I sleep, and then it's really hard to create content sometimes because I have to work on the other channel that's my bigger focus right now. So more or less so, the region predictions will be coming back. If not this week, then next week for sure. And if I don't do all the regions, then I'll start with like one and kind of get my thoughts out there. Most likely all of them will return. I've kind of have to bridge down a schedule for that with like certain content that comes between both channels. Sometimes one gets more than the other. That's just based off of a lot of things that happen with League versus what happens in my actual other type of area that I create content for on YouTube. So if we're looking at this, we're going to have to look at a interesting thing. Now, this is kind of posted about like 3 days ago, so obviously the results of some games may be different. Here we go. Clutch Gaming releases Piglet. All right, let's go. Piglet will no longer be part of Clutch Gaming's LCS team. The former SK Telecom T1 bot laner and world champion has been released, the organization announced earlier today. Piglet joined Clutch Gaming in January 2018 after spending a few years with Team Liquid, but the team didn't have much success with Piglet on the main roster. Clutch went 5-13 and came in 9th place in the 2019 LCS Spring Split with Piglet as the starting ADC. This disappointing placing for Clutch likely prompted the organization to make a roster change heading into the summer split. At the end of May, Clutch revealed that Cody-san would be the starting ADC over Piglet in the 2019 summer split. Clutch are 2-2 through the first 2 weeks of the summer split, and it's no surprise this week they went 3-3. By releasing Piglet, it seems like the organization is confident that Cody-san will continue to produce from the ADC role for the rest of the season. And obviously you guys know how the rest of the week panned out for Piglet. Now, overall, before I actually give my thorough thoughts on this, I'm going to actually read this tweet really quick, because I kind of want to see some of the comments that came through a lot of these people, because a lot of people do and are really hard on Piglet actually. And alright, let's see where we're actually going to read. I don't think it's actually posted because I actually hit the link and nothing was really posted here. I said the organization announced it. I mean, I think they did. Let's go with need more Clutch. Well, definitely. FlyQuest recap. And okay, it's not here. So that's great. They produced a link in which I don't even see what the heck is going on with their type of lineup, but nonetheless, you guys know about this in general, and we have to talk about certain aspects that revolve around this player. Now, as per watching this player for as long as I've been watching this player, he's had very interesting highs in the LCS. Remember the blind Corky Baron steal he did back in the day. He's made semifinals, third place matches in North America, so debatably success in terms of making it out of playoffs, if that is even considered a success, is something that he's not really been per se known for in North America. He came over the same time that Impact did in 2015. Both of them were on different rosters, Team Impulse, and obviously he was on Team Liquid. We both know how those teams aged out. Impulse is not even in the league anymore, and now we have Team Liquid obviously being the best team in the entire LCS, or at least a contender for top 3. Now, looking at Piglet, he came over 2015 spring. When I first saw him, I was like, he's kind of not per se playing well. And then you have I Will Dominate reveal that they had a lot of internal issues, and then they had later kind of fixed most of that. Then playoffs, they make it to where they can face Cloud9. Cloud9 reverse sweep them. Piglet has an amazing series all the way together. He played incredibly well. And then you move into the summer split of 2015, where arguably he's pretty much like the second best ADC, with like being ahead of Double Lift. You also had Apollo being pretty decent or to okay. I think Piglet was better than Apollo at that point. And the only other player you could really compare him to was either, which is kind of ironic moving forward in splits, because now when I talk about the split rat before he got kicked, you'll understand where I'm going with. You also had Wild Turtle when he was actually on TSM, and either it was him or Wild Turtle who were arguably pretty good ADCs. People said he wasn't really ever good. There are splits where he was actually pretty good. It was just that people who weren't actually watching back then don't really know, and that's just something that I'll give him credit for. If people weren't actually watching, you definitely shouldn't be saying anything if you don't know or watch the games. That's just how it is. After that 2015 LCS summer split, it doesn't really look too good for him. He starts pairing up with Matt. I thought that was a terrible bot lane. I thought he played pretty bad, all things considered. After the spring split, in which they had got to the semifinals match against CLG, he played pretty decent that split. Then right after that, it started not looking so good, because after that, the roster just kind of falls apart, all things considered. Piglet, I think, like, people start switching him out. You know, he goes to the academy scene. He's like, okay, there. This is when we still had a challenger scene in North America, is what I'm talking about. Yeah, you older players know we used to have a challenger scene back in my day. And then after that, he got second place in that, and then right after that, we had the 2017 spring split, where obviously him and Matt are just atrocious bot lane. Team Liquid in 2017 spring and summer were just atrocious. They tried running back the same roster. It wasn't working. Piglet went to mid. Then after that, Team Liquid finally lets go of Piglet, and then he goes to Clutch, you know, on the academy scene. He's okay, middle of the pack ADC in the academy scene. And after that, we see him now in this split. Well, the past one we just had where they actually promoted him to the LCS. And I don't really know how to feel about him, because you had Apollo, who sucked, you had Stixay, who sucked, you had Arrow, who sucked, and then you had, who was the other dude? I can't remember his name. Apollo, Arrow, Stixay, and then you had like another ADC like somewhere in between there, because you had Double F, Sneaky, and Sven, who were obviously the best ones. And then you had Wild Turtle, and then you had he was better than Deathly to a certain. I wouldn't really say he was better than Deathly to a certain extent, because Deathly also offered some things. I would say he was more comparable to like Deathly and Wild Turtle. So that's where I kind of ranked him at, in like middle of the pack ADCs. And most of his tendencies were still the same, you know, the over-aggression, the losing laning phases constantly. Like, him and Vulcan just didn't really seem like a cohesive unit. It seemed like one would be doing something completely opposite to what the other one is doing. It seemed like Piglet got randomly caught out various games. It wasn't just one. It was a lot of. It was quite a bit of games. I'm not gonna say it was a lot. It was a decent number of games. It wasn't his sole fault that they didn't make playoffs, but he was a lackluster factor in those specific games that they maybe could have beaten bottom tier teams. Because the thing with that last split is that if you beat a bunch of bottom tier teams with the roster that they had, you make playoffs. You would have been in playoffs over Echo Fox, but it just didn't pan out that way. And that's when we're seeing the switch. I don't know where he's going to go, because realistically, I've always thought that he should go back to Korea and maybe play on a lower tier Korean roster. A lot of people said they'll like destroy him. I don't really believe that per se, because we saw that with Nuclear when he went to H2K, and when after he left H2K, he went to Danwon. He looked really good, and I don't want to pan them the same way, but it makes a big difference when you all speak the same language, because obviously the Clutch roster had Lyra, Huni, and you know, they were having this like weird Korean style going on that obviously most people realized wasn't going to work. So yeah, overall, I don't know where he's going to go. I don't know what team is going to pay for him, obviously. It just seems like not really worth it for a middle of the pack ADC who, you know, arguably hasn't really ever changed his tendencies, because aggressive players are just going to be aggressive players and passive players are just going to be passive. And then nowadays in League, there's not really a passive or an aggressive player. They're just a good or bad player, so you can kind of rate him how you want. arguably. So that's my thing on Piglet. He is released from Clutch. I just wanted to give my opinions on the matter because I wanted to get my thorough analyst on it, because you guys know JTH is a big fan of Piglet, and you know we all obviously differ on certain things. So let's just compare it off this last split. If he's not better than Wild Turtle or Deathly, he is middle of the pack, because you had because Apollo made playoffs, but come on, Apollo's not that good. Like, let's be honest here. Okay, and then you had Deathly, Wild Turtle, Sven, Sneaky, and Doublelift. That's where your top 5 go. And so I would literally place him at like 6th. He would literally, arguably, he's 5th or 6th, and that's still middle of the pack. No matter how you try to spin it in any different shape of the imagination, that's still middle of the pack. And now, Worlds talk. LCK's 3rd seed will start World Play-In stage. That's really interesting. The LCK will no longer have 3 teams automatically in World's main event this year, according to Korean esports website. Since the beginning of League of Legends esports, South Korea has been the forefront of the scene. A Korean team has taken home the World Championship 5 times, and multiple teams around the world of imports playing from the region. Every other country was playing catch up to the best region in the world, but over the past years, China, Europe, and even North America have started to push Korea out of the spotlight. As a result, Korea's 3rd seed will need to fight out of this year's World Championship play-in stage. This would mark the first time in League of Legends history that a Korean team will have to battle for its place in the main event. Okay. It looks like China will be taking Korea's place as the top region in the world. China won both major tournaments last year, which would grant all 3 of its representatives a spot in the main event. Riot Games hasn't confirmed this change, but it could make the announcement soon. The World Championship will be held in Europe this year, and should be one of the most competitive tournaments yet. Ooh, I like this. So basically what they're saying is that since China's done so well at the last few international events, all three of their teams get slotted in, because they introduced the play-in stage in general during the 2017 World, where you had obviously teams fighting to get that 3rd place into the actual group stage. Now they're switching it up this year because Korea hasn't been so dominant. Now Korea's 3rd seed is going to be in the play-in stage. So you're not having 4 major regions in the play-in stage. It's literally just you're swapping out a Chinese team with a Korean team. That's basically all it is. That is going to be interesting because these 3rd seed Korean teams are good. Now, I get people are going to go like, well, Gen G is a bad Korean team. Yeah, but understandably, they were kind of bad going into the actual event. You have to understand that. But looking at how some of these 3rd seed Korean teams pan out, not the Gen G example, because that's a really bad example, because that was like the one time that they were that, not that good. Some of these 3rd seed Korean teams are good, like Samsung Galaxy 2016, 2017 finals and one World. We look at Ku Tigers. They ended up rebranding and they made multiple semifinals, finals appearances. These 3rd seed Korean teams have really strong players on them. I know it might not look like it, but based off their rankings and stuff like that, but it is something to take into consideration. Now, it's not really going to change most of it, and if you have like the LMS paired up with Korea in a group stage, that's going to be pretty interesting. Now, what's really scary is that maybe if like the North American team or the European team might have to actually face this team in a best of 5 and actually might get knocked out, because we don't know specifically if the European team will have a team in the gauntlet actually, so you have to kind of factor in that might be the case. So looking at this, all things considered, hopefully North America or EU don't have to face the Korean team in a best of 5 after you win the play-in stage, because after you win the play-in stage, you play in a best of 5 to get into the group stage. That's the big difference. So what if one of the major regions has to fight that team? So let's say if SKT and Griffin make Worlds and you have to fight Kingzone. Are you kidding me? You have to fight Kingzone in a best of 5? That's ridiculous, because that team's not bad. I don't know what people are thinking. That team's not bad. So that's harder, but it's nice that Korea's finally getting brought down back to our level. See you guys later. I'm the Nightwing signing out. There will be LCS, LEC, LPL potentially, day predictions going up. I'm gonna start doing my whole weekly power rankings again. All that stuff is coming back. Just been really busy at the moment, but you guys know me. I'll be always giving you guys that fresh, never frozen content about our lovely game known as League of Legends, where people don't int and they don't run it down mid. See you guys later. Bye. Have a good day. Let me know what you think about all of this new League of Legends news.